Recently, I went on Twitter and wait, was this? Holy shit, the contract is real! First of all, before anyone starts going, oh, it's so fake, man. It's just a psyop made by Shinya and Tectone, man. It's so fake, man. It is real. It is real. I have confirmed with multiple other content creators. You can even go look at other content creators making videos on this matter that aren't Shinya or Tectone that are also confirming the same thing, that this is real. This is a real contract made by Hoyoverse. And no, it's not just exclusive to Yomiholic. This is the contract from Hoyoverse. Now we've got that established, what does this mean for you, the viewer? Well, it probably doesn't mean much, right? It's just a sponsorship. The only people it's going to affect is content creators. It won't be that big of a... That's where you're wrong. This contract will have a massive effect on you, the viewer. Now, the reason for this isn't as straightforward as you might think. You might just think, okay, so they're going to make 30% of their videos as Zenless Zone 0 videos. Ah, that's not that big of a deal. But there's other things in this contract, right? There's things such as the non-compete clause. This means that content creators can't take sponsorships for other games that aren't Hoyoverse games. This locks the creator into basically exclusively covering Hoyoverse games if they want to make money. If you're unaware, most of the money content creators make is sponsorships. Sponsorships are a big way that content creators make money, and if they are unable to get sponsorships from other companies except Hoyoverse, they most likely will not be making videos on those other games unless they really, really want to. And even then, it's a bit of a risk. Because if you make a video on another game saying it's really good and you would like these things in Genshin Impact or Zenless Zone 0, and you say that these things from that game should be in Zenless Zone 0, you might just not get sponsored again. Who knows? This is the sort of thing that Hoyoverse has made their contract seem like. They can't really enforce any of this stuff, but there is the chance that the content creator won't get paid anymore. This scares the content creator into making videos exclusively for Hoyoverse. Now, some other people might say, oh, just having a Hoyoverse content creator isn't that bad. Here's the problem with that. They're feeding you fake information. They're going to be overly positive. They're not going to tell you any of the issues with the game. They're just going to feed you positive content that is probably just lying to your face. They will probably make a video saying, oh, this event was so good, even though it's the worst event that ever happened in the history of Hoyoverse. That's the sort of thing that will start happening with these sort of contracts. When you're locked into covering a game and you have no option to cover any other games and you have to be overly positive, you can't make honest content to your viewers. Now, that's not the biggest effect with these contracts. The biggest effect is that the gacha space as a whole will have a portion of content creators creating content artificially for a game. Instead of games getting natural growth, it'll make it so Hoyoverse is getting as many content creators as they can on their payroll, and they're not moving to other games when they actually feel like the other game might be better. There won't be a gradual change in the market over time because Hoyoverse will be controlling the market. That is one of the things that this contract sort of allows Hoyoverse to manipulate people into doing. It allows this whole idea that if you want to be sponsored by Hoyoverse, you need to be playing their games. If you want to continue being sponsored by Hoyoverse, you need to not play other games. You need to be in the Hoyoverse bubble, otherwise you're not going to get paid as a content creator. You're not going to get opportunities. You're going to be blacklisted from events. And your content creator journey is going to be over. It artificially changes the market from being able to go, this is the best game at the moment. This is a game you should be playing. Instead, it's all Hoyoverse games. It is artificially changing the space to make it so Hoyoverse games are the only ones that get covered. Obviously, there will be other content creators who don't cover Hoyoverse games, and they're going to be quite successful as well. But it locks content creators into this fear. This fear that they won't be able to make money, they won't be able to get sponsorships. Now, that's not the only thing that Hoyoverse is doing to try and bring down other gacha games. Have any of you noticed that ZZZ is launching exactly 6 weeks after Wuthering Waves? In case you don't know why this is such a big thing, well, gacha games normally update on a 6-week cycle. This is the same sort of cycle that Genshin Impact does, the same thing that Honkai Star Rail does, and a lot of other gacha games do, is they update on a 6-week cycle on the dot. And Hoyoverse decided to launch ZZZ exactly 6 weeks after Wuthering Waves, when we are expecting that Wuthering Waves will be dropping at 1.1. They are launching their new game. Now, some of you may be wondering, why are they trying to bring down Wuthering Waves? I mean, they're a bigger company. They're gonna succeed anyway. It's not that big of a deal if Wuthering Waves comes in. Well, what Hoyoverse wants is a monopoly. And at the moment, they have that monopoly. They have a massive monopoly on gacha gaming as a whole. They are bigger than basically every other gacha game in every single metric. But here's the thing. If we just go on Google Trends and we give it a quick look, Wuthering Waves is way more popular. It has way more searches. Now, this is 6 weeks before ZZZ even launches. But Zenless Zone Zero has had a lot more advertising. And Wuthering Waves is still more popular. It's getting a lot more conversions to players than Zenless Zone Zero ever has in its entire advertising cycle. Since the first beta came out for Wuthering Waves has been extremely hyped, while ZZZ has got very middling receptions. And I think Hoyoverse is afraid of this. They're afraid that another company is going to launch a more popular game than their next game. They are terrified that they're going to lose players and start losing money. And the fact is, Wuthering Waves, for quite a lot of players, is going to be a better game than all Hoyoverse games. It's more catered to a lot of Hoyoverse players' tastes than a lot of Hoyoverse games. The reason people have been playing exclusively Genshin and exclusively HSR and games like that for the past few years is because they didn't really have alternatives. They didn't have anywhere to go that could give them a similar experience and satisfy that gacha game open world urge that they had. And before you say, Tower Fantasy. It was an MMO. It was a different genre. It wasn't in the same genre. This is the first time we've had games launching in the same genre as Genshin. And Hoyoverse is terrified. Wuthering Waves is 4 times more popular than Genshin was at launch. And now Genshin did blow up in popularity after launch, but at launch, Wuthering Waves is going to be a lot more popular than Genshin was at the time. And just looking at the statistics, looking at all the different popularity graphs and stuff like that, Wuthering Waves is extremely hyped. It's the first time we've had a game in the same genre as Genshin Impact, and people are really liking the look of it. People played the beta, they enjoyed the beta, and people are extremely excited for the game. And that honestly is something to fear for Hoyoverse. They fear that another game is going to take players away. So they need to make contracts like this. Now, there is a silver lining to all of this. I don't think this contract is going to work at all. Even if they do get a few content creators to sign it, I don't think it's going to be many. And honestly, I don't think it will change the community's opinion. Looking at my channel, for example, I recently made a very inflammatory title to sort of test this out. But I did get a few comments that were extremely toxic and people coming in just to hate on the game. And that was the point of the title, by the way, if you were wondering. I wanted people to come in and say very toxic things so I could see how the community would reply to that toxicity. And man, there were way more people flaming the people who were hating on Wuthering Waves in this comment section than there were people who agreed that, oh, Wuthering Waves is dead. There were only a few people that thought Wuthering Waves wasn't going to succeed. That games such as Duet Night Abyss won't succeed. Games such as Azure Premilia or Project Mugen. There are so many people out there right now who are much more on board with the new releases coming out from other game companies, and they're much more defensive about those games than there are people defensive about Hoyoverse games, and people who completely defend Hoyoverse games are completely getting outnumbered now. It's insane how the community is turning, and they're all going towards Wuthering Waves and the new games coming out. We never saw this for games like Tower Fantasy. We never got the opportunity to see players uniting as one, going, Wuthering Waves is going to be a good game. These new games are going to be good games. We never saw this, but there is an overwhelming amount of people out there, despite these fans who are going along with Hoyoverse's idea of Hoyoverse is the only company that makes good games. There's so many people out there denying that now. Hoyoverse is not the only company that makes good games, and Wuthering Waves is going to be amazing. That's at least what I think. Anyway, with all of that said, sorry for the last title and thumbnail. That was very inflammatory of me, but I need to bait out some of these idiots in my comments. And if you liked this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on my stream or in the next one. Peace.